This may well be worse than Hugo, simply because it went from end to end of the Puerto Rico island, and there's not a portion of the island that was left untouched.
Today, residents of Puerto Rico see the devastation left behind by Hurricane George. Electricity is out on most of the island, and 80% of the population is without water. Good afternoon. Thanks for joining us for Weather Center. I'm Jill Brown. At this hour, Hurricane George is pummeling the Dominican Republic. For the latest, we turn to Dan Atkinson in the Forecast Center.
Thanks very much, Jill. And with Hurricane George continuing its west-northwest movement, the National Hurricane Center reports that a hurricane watch may be required tonight or tomorrow for a portion of South Florida, including the Keys. More about that coming up. Here's the latest in the advisory as of 5 p.m. from the National Hurricane Center. At 5 p.m. Eastern Daylight Time, the center of Hurricane George was near latitude 18.8 north, longitude 70.3 west, or about 800 miles southeast of Miami. Maximum sustained winds 110 miles per hour. George still moving to the west-northwest at about 14 miles per hour with a central pressure of 970 millibars. Hurricane warnings are continuing in effect at this hour for the Dominican Republic, Haiti, Turks and Caicos Islands, southeast Bahamas, and eastern Cuba. And you'll notice also hurricane watches are posted for the central Bahamas and central Cuba. A hurricane watch means that hurricane conditions are possible within the watch area during the next 36 hours. We're joined here in the Forecast Center by our hurricane expert, John Hope. John, this hurricane, which has been deadly, it's taken so far at least 11 lives. It has produced a beating across the northeastern Caribbean. Now itself is taking a beating of sorts.
Well, it surely has done that, and yes, it is taking a bit of a beating, and we are saying that because the center of circulation now is over the mountains of the Dominican Republic, and some of those mountains are pretty high. And that will cause it to weaken. It's already weakened. We think it'll weaken more before it gets back out of the water. Center will not get back out over the water until sometime tomorrow.
Big question, of course, as to what will emerge over the water. How weak will it be, and how much strength it might regain?
Well, certainly it's going to be a lot weaker than it was when it made landfall there this morning, and that is the question. And going by past history, we have seen some that never did make it back and were powerful hurricanes. And we've had some that did, so we just have to watch it very carefully. This one seems pretty tenacious. It hung on a long time this morning, the eye did, after it got ashore.
Well, we take a look here at this infrared satellite view, and we want to orient the viewer. This large island is Hispaniola. The eastern two-thirds of Hispaniola is the Dominican Republic, where 3 have been killed, 2 by electrocution, 1 by drowning so far, with the devastation caused by Hurricane George. The eastern or the western third of Hispaniola is the largely deforested nation of Haiti, where mudslides are likely to cause a lot of problems there.
Hurricanes in Haiti have caused just horrible devastation in the past, and this is going to have heavy rain. The rain that's occurring here in the Dominican Republic and Haiti is comparable to what we had in Puerto Rico last night.
What about the projected path, John?
Well, the projected path is of great interest to folks here in the United States, as you might suspect. Now, what we expect to see happen is for this to gradually get off the coast of Haiti tomorrow, back out over the open water. And at that time, we expect it to be quite a bit weaker than it was. Category 1 is projected. And then as the center moves up toward the northwest over the open water, we think it's gradually going to regain some strength. The official forecast calls for it to be a Category 2 by Thursday morning. And then as it approaches South Florida on Friday, it may be up to a Category 3.
Well, in light of that possibility that South Florida could feel the brunt of this hurricane, evacuations have already begun. All state and county parks on the Florida Keys are closed. Workers are boarding up the area. Meanwhile, officials have asked non-residents and visitors in the Keys to evacuate immediately. Since there's only one road from the Keys to the mainland, they're hoping to avoid congestion. Residents of the Keys are also preparing for Georgia's arrival. Grocery store shelves are being emptied and homes being boarded up. And, of course, we are continuing hour by hour to monitor the progress. We'll get the latest from the National Hurricane Center in an intermediate advisory in about an hour, right?
Yes, we'll be updated then. And I believe what you'll find when we get the new advisory is that the west-northwest motion is continued, although we can't really see that on the satellite picture too well because we can't precisely see where the center is, and very likely a bit weaker than the 110 miles an hour, which was in the last advisory.
And we do want to remind you, if you are in an area where you may possibly be threatened and you have time to make preparations, as many do, want to alert you to decide where to go when a warning or a watch is issued. This is part of a family disaster plan. Designate a contact person outside your area, agree upon a place to meet, develop an evacuation plan with various routes. And we might add, too, I've heard some good advice, John, about maybe getting prescriptions filled. If you have some essential medicine that you may be running out of over the next few days, you might want to go ahead and get that sort of thing taken care of before you get into a bad situation.
The medicines that you must have, you have to be sure to have provisions made to have those with you.
Right. Tank up the car and get some ATM cash.
There you are.
That's all right. John, we'll check back with you in a half hour. Thanks very much. Our hurricane expert, John Hope, with us here in the Forecast Center, where we continue to monitor progress of deadly Hurricane George. And if you want to tap into our Weather Channel online service for information about the tropics, you can reach us at weather.com. And now to Jill Brown in the studio.
Okay, thanks, Dan. We're looking at the rest of the country where things are actually fairly quiet. We have a front that's stretching from Boston, where it's been raining and actually cool, all the way back down to Texas, where yesterday was hot, but today it is pretty cool if you're right along that front where it's raining or to the north of it. But there's a huge difference. South of the front, temperatures again today are in the 90s. Dallas, never at a loss for a hot afternoon, 97 degrees at this hour, while in Amarillo it is in the 50s. And actually, while we have 50s and 60s to the north, now, overnight tonight, we may see temperatures drop into the 30s. So for one of the first times this season, we've seen a few frost advisories issued. Wisconsin, the Upper Peninsula, and northern lower Michigan. Now, tomorrow night, they're already talking about this possibility in New York. Sort of the heart of this cold air is going to slide to the east behind our front, which right now is just bringing us really light rain. It was much heavier earlier in the day, so it's not too bad for you now in Boston. It's kind of a dreary Tuesday evening. New York City, rain is heading out through Queens and out through the Islip area. Philadelphia might have a few sprinkles around, but it should be a pretty quiet evening drive. On the other hand, we do have some gusty winds right along the coast, also associated with this front. So gale warnings are in effect from Eastport to Watch Hill. Farther to the south, we've had some of those showers skim through the Richmond area. Look out in Newport News, Norfolk area. You might have a few passing thunder showers. That shouldn't last long. As you head over into Mississippi, a few thunder showers that developed earlier are already starting to fade. Now that the days are a little bit shorter, those thunderstorms die down a lot more quickly, don't they? Into Florida, Orlando getting the rain again today, and over on Interstate 95 between Daytona Beach and looks like about the Fort Pierce area. Fortunately, it's pretty quiet here down around the Keys, where evacuations have begun because of George, and around Miami, inland in Monroe County, we do have a few thunderstorms, but not a real big deal. Now in Texas, there's concern from heavy rain already around the Brownsville area, which unfortunately is cut off on this radar. We've had enough heavy rain. We've had some flash flooding. It's not widespread, but it's in the southern part of the state where we have had a few thunderstorms. Oklahoma City, thunderstorms heading
Cast on the Weather Channel.
Thanks for joining us here at the Weather Channel. I'm Christina Abernathy, and it is time now for our tropical update as Hurricane George continues to move across the Dominican Republic. And a reminder that this tropical update is sponsored by Home Depot. Let's take a look at what's going on out there, the latest with Hurricane George. We have the latest coordinates here, 18.9 north, 71.3 west. That puts the center 745 miles southeast of Miami, Florida. The wind's 95 miles per hour now. Movement off to the west-northwest at 14, and the pressure 985 millibars. So we can see the track that George has taken, and we see it now affecting the Dominican Republic. And we do have hurricane warnings in effect for the Dominican Republic and Haiti, as it is the center of the hurricane is about to make it right on over into Haiti. Turks and the Caicos Islands also under the warnings, as well as the southeast Bahamas and eastern Cuba. We have hurricane watches for the central Bahamas and central Cuba. So those are the areas shaded in orange that are under the watches. The areas in red are under warnings. And certainly folks in the northwestern Bahamas and southern Florida will want to keep a real close eye on this. And there is the possibility that we could see further watches issued. So you'll just want to keep tuning back in with us, and we'll keep you updated on the latest on those advisories. Look at the satellite view here. The eye is no longer evident here on the satellite view. You can see it on the first image, but then as it moves across the rugged terrain here of the Dominican Republic, very high mountains, that tends to cause those hurricanes to weaken, and that's indeed what we are seeing. However, as it moves back out over the open waters eventually, we are expecting the very real possibility for re-strengthening. So again, it's weakened a bit at this point, still formidable, but there is the possibility for re-strengthening and certainly causing a lot of problems, as we saw on Puerto Rico and now the Dominican Republic and into Haiti. Heavy amounts of rain, flash flooding, real concern, but also the winds a concern, as well as the storm surge. As we take a look at the bigger picture, again, we'll want to keep an eye on areas out ahead of this hurricane. And just to give you a general idea of the strike probabilities, this is what we're seeing here. The red showing the highest probabilities, but really anywhere within this area needs to keep a very close eye on what's going on with Hurricane George. So again, that does include southern Florida. We will keep you updated. Now is the time to prepare. Just to give you some pointers here, you should have a plan in place. Decide where you're going to go if a watch or warning is issued. You'll need a contact person, a place to meet, and an evacuation plan is a good thing to have. Also, you'll need those essentials like a water, first aid kit, and those extra batteries, as well as a battery-operated radio. So just a heads up to keep these things in mind. Again, now is the time to start thinking about these sort of things. Well, here's the big picture out there. Again, here's George. We also are watching Ivan and Jeanne out here. Here's the latest on Ivan, moving off to now the north-northwest at 17 miles per hour, nowhere near land at this point, and continuing to watch Jeanne as well, which is producing winds of 75 miles per hour, movement off to the west-northwest at 17, and we're going to be keeping a very close eye on Jeanne as we head through the coming days. We'll have more on George coming up. Stay with us.
Hurricane George is proving to be a damaging and deadly storm. Get the information you need to know about George, plus your weather on Weather Center after your local forecast.
This program was sponsored by the Home Depot.
Guaranteed low prices at the Home Depot mean that you can be confident that you're going to walk into our store and find the best price in town. And if
we find a better price anywhere else, we'll beat that price with no questions asked.
We will match it and then beat it. That's our guarantee, day in and day out.
Everybody says they got the lowest price, but
not only do we have the guaranteed low price, we also have the knowledgeable salespeople on the floor to help you.
We want to be the best price, the best customer service, the best quality product. We want to have the best of everything.
So there's no reason not to shop at Home Depot.
Everybody has suffered from the effects of a bad night's sleep, whether from minor back pain, heartburn, or just because you can't get comfortable. And the constant tossing and turning at night can make you feel like